Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Stephen Kane.
How do you identify yourself? Think about who you are, what it is that you do, and how you identify yourself. If you were at a networking event, how do you introduce yourself? The typical thing is we use our job titles, right? Hi, I'm Steve, Director of Customer Success. Sometimes there's the question of, well, what do you do? And that's a question that we will never, ever answer. Because the reality is what I do, well, I read a lot of email, I go to meetings, I approve some reports. That's what I do, but my job title sounds more interesting, so I can kind of expand on that. But how do you identify yourself? Do you think of yourself as a leader of people? Anybody here have direct reports? Anybody report directly to you? Nearly half. So by default, you're a leader of people. People are kind of compelled to follow you. What about the other people in the room? Do you think of yourself as a leader of people? Getting a few nods, a few blank stares.
I would argue that everybody is a leader of people.
You're stealing my thunder.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, now I have to back up my mental PowerPoint. Everybody here is a leader of people. The moment that you decide to share some insight, some advice, provide some mentorship, some coaching, you become a leader of people. You do it by choice. The way you identify yourself has a very big impact on the success of your organization. If you see yourself as a leader of people, you're going to behave in a way that will inspire others and bring other people to perform in a very specific manner. So those of you who have direct reports and maybe don't think of yourself as a leader of people, I think you have some challenges ahead. People want you to be more than a manager, more than an executive. They want you to be leaders. They're begging for it. In 2015, Gemba Academy conducted a one-question online survey to the Lean community, the English-speaking Lean community around the world. And we simply asked, what are you struggling with? And it was a fill-in-the-blank answer. 70% of our respondents said leadership. And they said it in many, many different ways. Leadership buy-in, leadership understanding, competency, but it was consistent. Leadership. People are begging for you to be a leader. So the interesting thing is, from this very non-scientific survey, was that leadership is the number one obstacle to lean transformation. And it seems kind of strange, right? Somebody's making this happen, somebody's exercising some leadership, but somebody else is getting in the way, or at least the employees or the followers of that leader perceive that the leadership is getting in the way. Anybody experience that? It's in this room, right? What is a leader's role? You're a leader. Every person in this room is a leader. What is your role in the capacity of a leader? Anybody want to take a stab? To do the right thing. Excellent. Remove obstacles. Lead by example. Provide direction. Teach, train, and mentor. Outstanding, yes. Inspire. Provide vision. All of these things are true. How can we sum it up in one sentence? A leader's role is to help people be successful. We do that by providing direction, by providing resources, removing obstacles, providing inspiration. A leader's job is to help people be successful. We heard about it this morning, a couple of times, about creating that culture, helping people be successful, having that culture, instilling those behaviors. That's the leader's role. It really ties to the respect for people pillar of lean, right? We have continuous improvement and respect for people. What is respect for people? What does that really mean? Excellent. Valuing skills they bring to the table. What else? How do you define respect for people? Listening. Valuing them as a human being. I want to touch on human being a little bit more. Actually, that's what the whole rest of this presentation is going to be about. What else? What is respect for people? Giving them a chance. Excellent. Empowering. Holding people accountable, providing some structure. I was a manufacturing operations manager in the state of Michigan a few years ago. And I went into this role thinking, this is going to be fantastic. I've been applying lean for quite a long time now, and I really get the tools. I love this. It works, and it's been proven over and over and over. I show up into this plant, and the way it worked out was I was relieving another manager who was going to rotate back to a California factory. So I went in and replaced this person. He took this plant that was very command and control in Michigan. Had been that way for about 14 years. And what that really means in this plant was the manager makes the supervisor's decisions, the supervisor makes the employee's decisions. That's the way it worked there. So I go rolling into this thinking, oh, awesome, lean. We already have 5S in place, and they did a really good job of it. If we just took photographs of this place, you would look at it and say, this is a highly leaned out organization. It's excellent. They did a great job with 5S. And then, after just a short time, I started to discover there were some other issues going on. People didn't get along. People didn't enjoy coming to work. There was backbiting. There was fear. What happens to your quality when there's backbiting, fear, when there are morale problems? Quality goes down. What happens to your on-time delivery? All of your metrics, right? So here I am faced with this culture that looks great on the surface, but there are all these underlying issues. So I come in as the lean champion, and I'm teaching one-piece flow, I'm teaching takt time, cycle time, doing all this great stuff in this manufacturing environment. And what I found was people were really enthusiastic about it, nodding their head, this is great. And then I'd show them how to do it, and they would do it. We're doing this one-piece flow, and we're making these really small parts where you could probably hold 100 or so in your hands. And rather than making one at a time, right, like put a cap on, move it down the line, they have 100 in their hand and they're doing everything all at once. Batch processing. So I teach them, well, no, one piece flow, one piece, oh, I got it, yeah, this works better, I like this, yeah. Then I'd walk away. Then I'd come back and they're doing one piece batch processing, and then, oh, here's Steve. One piece flow. And this went on over and over and over. So how did I respond to this? Inspiration? No. How does the manager, not leader, how does the manager respond to that? Discipline. We taught you how to do this. You knew how to do it. You chose not to do it. Right? This is our process. You're choosing to go against what we're doing as an organization. Discipline. So we wrote people up. We fired people. It was difficult. It was painful. And lean shouldn't be all that hard. Because to me, it was like, here's this system. It works. It's simple. Right? Lean is about making your job simpler. And what's happening? They wouldn't let go. Why? Why wouldn't they let go? Why wouldn't they change? Why wouldn't they see it my way? Right? It's my way, right? And think about the sentence structure, right? Why wouldn't they see it my way? Yeah. So after banging my head against the wall for about a year, after countless discussions with human resources, after turnover, one of our employees, a supervisor, went to AME and learned about this concept called a customer-focused culture. And she had an HR background. She comes back to the plant and she tells me all about this customer-focused culture. And she's like coming out of her skin. She's so excited about it. Steve, this is the missing link. This is what we're not doing right. This is how we're failing as leaders. We're not implementing this customer-focused culture. I'm like, okay, well, what is it? Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but in a nutshell, we want to give the responsibility for running the plant to the operators. I'm like, you are out of your mind. I can't get them to do one-piece flow. And we're going to let them just run the operation. She said, no, really, it's about trust. We have to extend trust. We have to let them do it. We have to be able to teach them. Right? There are these principles that we must follow in order to get people to buy in. And like, what in the world are these principles? What are you talking about? Well, she tells me mastery, autonomy, and purpose. We've heard that before, right? So mastery, autonomy, and purpose. And I'm going to write this kind of small. Right? So mastery, autonomy, and purpose. What in the world are we talking about there? Well, it's one thing to train people, but we have to help them understand the entire operation, not just the task they're doing. And we have to continue to train, help them grow, and achieve mastery and understanding their position, the importance of their position within the enterprise and to the customer. They have to have autonomy. They have to have the freedom to do their job well without being told what to do. They have to have the freedom to take chances, take risks, to fail, and know that they're going to be supported. And they have to have a sense of purpose. And what is that purpose? We couldn't come up with really anything super interesting, like the airbags. We're helping people save lives. We're a little too far removed for that. The purpose was simply help the customer be successful, help your team be successful, and do the right things for the right reasons. It really came down to that. So part of that autonomy, being tied to purpose, was that as employees, these people should be allowed to do whatever they want, make their own decisions, do what they want, when they want, how they want. So long as they help the customer be successful, they help the team be successful, and they do the right things for the right reasons. So Nikki's telling me all this great stuff, and I'm kind of thinking this is a stretch. And she also really emphasizes trust. We have to trust people. We have to let them fail, and when they do fail, we have to step up and help them. They have to be able to trust us as leaders. Another thing is no limits. Don't limit what you think people are capable of. So she's kind of telling me this process. I'm like, I've been watching these folks for a year, and I'm getting a pretty good feel for what they're capable of. So the idea of no limits really scared me. And I'm just telling her, I just don't see how this is going to work. She also told me a big point that she got from this AME conference was lean tools are just tools and they really don't matter. So here we are at a lean conference. Don't worry about the lean tools, right? Yeah, I'm in the business of teaching people how to use lean tools. So it isn't about the tools. I sell the tools. That's really not the point of lean, right? What is lean really about? It comes down to two things: solving problems and developing people. So it's not about the tools, it's about the culture. With the right culture, any tool will be successful. I like to think about it in terms of construction. Imagine a construction team at a residential job site, right? You can have highly skilled people with the worst tools and they'll build you a beautiful home. You can also have unskilled people with the very best tools and they'll just build you a pile of sticks, right? It's not about the tools, it's about the culture. So Nikki tells me that we need to start doing this, and I'm kind of telling her I don't believe it. I'm resisting this. And you've heard the resistance to lean, like we need to be lean, and oh no, we're not automotive, it doesn't work here, we're special, right? We're not in manufacturing. That's exactly what I was doing as a lean leader to this supervisor who reported to me, oh no, we can't do that, it works for this other company, it won't work for us, we have these issues, excuse. And she was saying the company president who gave me this speech invited us to come visit their plant. I'm like, yeah, travel budget. I'm like, oh no, we can drive. They're only down in Indiana. And I'm just resisting. But why? I didn't even know it. Why? But why? That resistant to change? Why? Yeah. Fear. Yeah, I have 3 more whys. Fear. So after about 3 months, I ran out of excuses. I ran out of polite ways to say no. And then I finally said, all right, go ahead and book it, make it happen, make all the travel arrangements for the entire leadership team. It's only 4 of us, 3 supervisors and me as the plant manager. And we'll go down there. And it wasn't 20 minutes later. She came back and said, hey, March 30th, we have an appointment. All right, so we drive down there reluctantly. I drive down there with them. I'm really not digging this. Spend the night. We go into this plant, Damon Products, Mishawaka, Indiana. And we meet the company president. And after hearing him speak for 30 minutes and just seeing their plant, it was like the light came on. Boom, I got it. Yes, all of that is true. We need to do all of this. We walked around their plant. We met their people. People running, they make hydraulic manifolds. CNC mills, lots of tools, pretty expensive material. Talking to their operators, how do you know what to make? Where does your supervisor tell you what to do? I'm like, well, I mean, the supervisor doesn't tell us what to do. We're not told what orders there are. We're not told what to make, when to make it, when to come to work. We're not told when to take breaks. We're not told if we can go on vacation. We're not told any of that stuff. I'm like, well, how do you figure it out? Well, we know how to look in the ERP system and see what orders there. We know how to source material. I know how to buy tooling. I know how to do all these things. And I'm like, oh, all the things that I won't let my employees do because I have to do it myself. So I got it. So on the way home, it's a 5-hour drive from Mishawaka, Indiana to Traverse City, Michigan. We started hatching this plan. We're going to implement this. We have our lean plan. We're going to formulate it in the car, and we're going to implement it tomorrow. We didn't laugh. We thought it was going to work. But we're driving, and we're talking about all these nuances of the plan. What do we have to do first? How are we going to write this down? How do we communicate it? What happens if things don't go according to plan? How will we adjust? And about 3 or 4 hours into this, we decided the plan is what isn't going to work. The vision, that's all we need. We need the vision. We need to communicate that. We need people to buy into it. And then we'll just figure it out as we go. And people in the lean world kind of say, figure it out as you go. I'm not really comfortable with that. Right? We need to have a really good Hoshin plan. I was just too eager to get started. So our plan was tomorrow, at the end of the day, we're going to get everybody together in one room. This plant had about 35 people. And we're going to share the vision. And then we're going to tell them, you're in charge. So we did that. We got everybody together and we said, hey, look, we need to change. Because look at our metrics. We're really, really good about not letting any defect reach our customer. And this company was fantastic at that. But the quality wasn't all that great because we had a lot of scrap. We discovered our defects before we shipped them. But we were throwing away tens of thousands of parts at a time. Medical device, things have to be made in lots. You have a few things go wrong, the whole lot is gone. So we were experiencing that over and over. We had 18 months of consecutive mandatory overtime. 18 consecutive months of mandatory overtime. And that means the supervisor saying, today's your day. You're working 2 hours today, you're working 2 hours today, you're working 4 hours Saturday. And it was just dictated. 18 months of that. 11 customer complaints in the previous 12 months. And for the small company, the small site, that was a lot. So we got everybody together and said, hey, look, things are not working out well. The biggest thing is, nobody likes working here. I'm like, raise your hand if I'm wrong. Not a single hand went up, and people are kind of like looking at me like, where is this conversation going? So we don't like what we do. We're not enjoying ourselves, right? We're not really engaged in what we're doing, and as a result, we have some quality issues. We have some delivery issues, right? I think that all belongs to the morale issues we have. And I remember my dad owned a business when I was a kid, and he had in his office, the firings will continue until morale improves. And I was just kind of thinking, how many people here are thinking that, right? Because we had already fired some people. So here's the deal. Starting tomorrow, I'm no longer going to make the operational decisions on a day-to-day basis. I'll handle the bigger things about the entire plant, strategic, financial, but the operations, I'm not doing that anymore. I won't make any decisions for you. The supervisors will not make any decisions regarding the operation any longer. It's just prohibited. And these people are looking at me like, oh my goodness, what's happening? You are responsible for the operation. So look all the way up the value stream to our suppliers. You're responsible for sourcing our materials, getting them delivered on time in the right quantities, in the right lots, producing on time, producing quality, delivering it on time to the customer. When things go wrong, you are going to handle it. When there's a problem to be solved, you're going to solve it. I'm not going to do this anymore. If you have a question about anything, about the way this company runs, come to me with your question, and I promise you I will not answer it for you. Instead, I'm going to teach you everything about that issue, everything that I know. I'm going to teach you how to find the answers on your own. So here's what I'm going to commit. The entire leadership team is going to be on the production floor from the opening of the plant to the closing of the plant every day. We'll be by your side all day, every day for as long as this takes. Any administrative work that we have to do, what we typically do in the offices, we're going to do it later. If you need us on the floor, we'll be on the floor, no questions. This starts tomorrow. This means that you will make all of your own decisions. You decide, well, when you come to work. You can decide if you come to work. You decide when you're going to take your breaks. You decide what your job assignment is for the day. You decide if you're going to deliver to the customer. Now the reality is, you make these decisions all day, every day, anyways. You just believe that somebody else is doing it for you. You choose to get out of bed in the morning. You choose to get dressed. You choose to come to work. You choose to do your job. We do that every day, and our choices are announced through our actions. So tomorrow's no different. You've been running this plant for 14 years. Continue to do so. And eyes are wide open. Are there any questions? Not a one. So everybody understands, you get to make all of your own choices. So long as you're helping the customer be successful, you're helping your team be successful, and you're doing the right things for the right reasons. If you're doing those three things, you're fine. If you're going outside of those three things, we'll have a little coaching session. So the next day, people came to work, and it was chaos. And we anticipated it. We knew this is not going to go over just super smoothly. There's no way they're going to listen to that, have this, it was described this morning as a wrecking ball, come in and change and have things work well. But the only way we can get these people to change this drastically is through this drastic action and let them fight it out. So I want to work here. No, that's the choice job. I've got seniority. I'm going to work there. So we had all this fighting going on. So, hey, hold on. You want to work there? Why do you want to work there? Well, I have seniority. Does seniority help the customer be successful? Okay, non-starter. That's not your reason, right? This is how we make our decisions. And we had dozens and dozens and dozens of coaching sessions like that. Are you helping your customer? Are you helping your team? Are you doing this for the right reasons? That lasted for about 3 weeks, and then it started to mellow out. And then people came into work. They started to figure out how to cooperate with each other because supervision wasn't solving the problems anymore. We weren't figuring it out for them. So people began to work together, and they began focusing on the bigger picture of taking care of the customer rather than their petty preferences of job assignments. There was one guy, though, who just loved to operate the floor polisher. You know, the big automated mopping thing like you see in Home Depot. We had one of those for our warehouse, and we had this beautiful epoxy floor in the warehouse, and he loved that machine. And he's out there just running this thing. And I'm in production, and people are saying, hey, we're short. We're supposed to have 4 people on the cell, but we only have 3. Like, well, where's the 4th person? Well, somebody's polishing the warehouse floor. All right, well, let me go see what I can do about that. So I go out there, and sure enough, he's out there polishing the floor, and he's having a great time. Hey, what are you doing? Polishing the floor. Cool. Why? Well, you said I can do whatever I want. Yes, I did. Yeah, this is what you want to do? Yeah. Are you helping your customer be successful? Are you helping your team be successful? Is it the right thing for the right reasons? No. Back to work. Then a few weeks later, he's out doing the same thing, building boxes. He likes working alone. But he's out building boxes. We go through the same thing. And we go through this with this employee a few times. Like, okay, the whole concept of helping the customer, helping your team, that doesn't seem to be like really sinking in here. So we need to make a change. So what's going to happen, right? The people must change, or the people must change. So things mellowed out after a few weeks. After a few months, things were working very, very smoothly. Our quality was going up. Our on-time delivery was improving. We noticed right away that our scrap expenses were going down. Now, before we made this change, I'm trying to tell people how to calculate tack time. I want them to figure out tack time, and I want them to know how many parts they need to make per hour, so at any given point during the day, they would know if overtime would be needed, or if we were going to deliver on time. I taught that over and over and over and over. Would not sink in. We make this change. Steve, what do I do? Now, I promised I wouldn't answer your questions, right? So my standard response was, I don't know. What do you think you should do? Well, I have this order, and I don't know how many parts I need to make per hour to get it out on time. I just know it needs to be delivered in 4 days. Okay. And she said, I remember you saying something about this once. I'm like, once? Tack time, right? What is tack time, right? How many parts need to be made? How much time is available? What's your cycle time? We can compare those. Like, yeah, can you teach me that again? Absolutely. So now there was this pull for the tools. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to deliver. So we started teaching, and then things started to get better. The lean tools now had a purpose, and because these people wanted it, it wasn't being forced on them. So we fast forward a little bit. Things are running along nice and smoothly. Everything's getting better. And I remember there's one employee. Her name was Sue. And Sue was working at a production cell. It's a little 4-person cell. And we were talking, and she's like, you know, this whole making my own decisions, I'm just not into that. I don't want to do that. I just want you to tell me what to do, and I'll do it, because I'm very, very good at that. I've been very successful with that. So just tell me what to do. Okay, so I want you to use your judgment. I want you to decide what needs to be done, and then do that. And she was just really upset with me about that. She was just quiet, but she would work and got along with the team. So a year later, 2 customer complaints during that year. Both were unfounded. The defects were actually done after the parts left our plant. We had no mandatory overtime in the 12 months after that. We went from 18 consecutive months to none. We had less turnover. We had a greater deal of engagement. We had a lean journey that was actually becoming successful. But why? I thought I got it when I was there. Like, yes, that was it. That was the answer. And now, years later, I'm kind of thinking, no, I didn't get it back then. But why? Just this week, I was visiting a company called Fireblast in Corona, here in California. This is a company that makes firefighting training simulators. So if you need a room that will just spontaneously burst into flames, see these folks, they'll build it for you. That's what they do. Because firefighters, they need to train, they need to have something on fire, and then they need the trainer to put the fire out and say, no, you're doing it wrong, right? So I went down there to visit them. At Gemba Academy, we do this video series called Gemba Live. It's where we go out to factories or other facilities, and we capture on video how people are implementing lean so we can share it with our audience. Because not everybody can get out of their own job and go travel to take tours, right? So we were there, and we were interviewing them, asking them about their lean journey. I was talking to the CEO. So there was a point at which you weren't lean, and now you are. So tell me what happened in the middle. What happened in between those 2 points? And he said, well, we started lean, we studied it, we had the tools, we trained the leadership, and we implemented it. And every day we started pushing lean tools, lean tools, lean tools. And we had the stand-up meetings, we were doing all this stuff, and we would poll, and we used A3. We did all these great things. And we pushed and pushed and pushed for about 6 months. And then we just decided this isn't working. We're just going to let it go. Just let it go. Leave it alone. Stop pushing lean. So they did, and so it fizzled off for about a year. Then they decided to try it again. And the CEO of the company came across a little tidbit of information, Damon Products, and he said, that's it. I get it. He went out to his staff the following day, stand-up meeting, whole staff is there, and he said, hey, look, we've been having a lot of problems here. We tried lean, it didn't work. We have delivery problems, we have quality problems, we have the same problems every other company has. I want you to know it's all my fault. I'm responsible for that. It's the way I've been leading this organization that has generated these results. So it's not on you, but something's got to change. And the thing is, I know it has to change, and I know it's my leadership, but exactly what those things are, I need you to tell me. And that was the moment that people got engaged. People started to buy into it. They were really interested in lean. They started to participate in the entire value stream as opposed to just welding or just doing a simple job. Things took off. Now a year later, they're really on their way with lean. But why? Yeah, why? I'm sorry? Staff engagement. Staff engagement. What others? What else? What was the difference? Empowering people to change. Trust, right? Yeah. Yeah. I took all the blame, took the pressure off of them, took all the blame. What is it that people need, and I mean all people, not just lean, what is it people need in order to be successful long term? We can do anything short term, but long term. Believe in what you're doing, have a sense of purpose, feel respected, confidence. It's really in people. So the one thing that people need in order to be successful in any aspect of life is fulfillment. Something we all long for, right? It's not just a desire, it is a need. If people can't find fulfillment at work, what do? They go elsewhere, either change jobs. Some people just stay in their jobs and they're miserable. You ever heard of somebody like that? Yeah. And other people will seek that fulfillment, keep the job, but seek the fulfillment elsewhere. As an example, how many bowling leagues are there throughout the United States? Excellent. But think about that. How many people bowl in the United States? Far more people bowl than there are people who enjoy bowling. They're not doing it for the game. Right? Why do people join bowling leagues? Social. There's a sense of belonging. Right? Why are they doing that? Why are they going to a bowling league for that? Because they're not getting it at work. They're not getting it at home. They're finding it somewhere else. There's an interesting thing about respect for people. John Miller is the co-founder of Gemba Academy. He's an American, born in Japan to American parents. He grew up in Japan, so he learned Japanese and English at the same time. So native Japanese speaker. He got into lean by translating from the great Japanese lean thinkers to the Americans. That's how he learned lean. He became CEO of Kaizen Institute and a co-founder of Gemba Academy. He says respect for people actually is a bad translation. That's not accurate. It's more accurately translated as respect for humanity. Bit of a difference there, right? What does that mean, respect for humanity? The greater good. What else does it mean? Trusting the intelligence of your fellow man. Respecting the humanness. Right? Taking advantage of everything humans can do. Respect for humanity. Like the very foundation of that is understanding that we're all human beings and we have human needs. So now I'm going to totally rip off Tony Robbins. He talks about 6 basic human needs. And if you'd like to learn more about these, YouTube, just do a search for Tony Robbins' 6 basic human needs. What are they? Consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. These 6 needs, this is something that everybody has. We all need consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. The interesting thing about it is it's stratified, right? Consistency is the foundation of our lives. Without consistency, we can't function. What would you do if you believed the world were going to end tonight? You wouldn't be sitting here listening to me, right? That would change your decision making, right? If you don't have the belief that you can feed yourself, provide for your family, pay the mortgage, what happens to your decision making abilities? The physiological response is a release of cortisol, the stress hormone, goes through your brain. The result is a phenomenon called tunnel vision, right? You no longer look at the periphery. You only look at the immediate threat in front of you. This is innate. This is what we do. This is how we respond. You ever been in an extremely stressful situation, either short-term or long-term, and you couldn't make a decision? That's a lack of consistency. Variety. You have consistency, everything's fine, you can feed yourself, everything's good day after day after day. You do the same thing over and 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 over. Something's got to change. Right? You ever go to a restaurant more than once and only order the same thing? Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? Because you know it's good and you want it to be good and you don't want to sacrifice your consistency. But you're going out to lunch, maybe you don't go to the same place every day, and there's your little element of variety. Right? We want things to be changed. We want surprises, so long as they're the surprises that we like. Right? We don't want the surprises that are going to challenge our consistency. Right? Significance. Everybody needs to know that they're important. Everybody needs to believe that they're important. It's an innate human need. And some people will hint to you that this is the most important thing to them. Of their 6 human needs, I need to feel important. I need to feel significant. Belonging. What does that mean? Now, Tony Robbins is going to talk about this. I thought it would make some people squirm here if I described it the way he did, because it's really love, right? People need to be loved. Well, it's the same thing as belonging. We need to be part of something, part of a community, part of a family, right? Part of a bowling league. If we don't get that sense of belonging somewhere, in one place, we'll look for it other places. Or things will start to fall apart for us. Our ability to function will be diminished. Growth. We all need to be challenged. We need to learn new things, right? We need to grow. If we're not, what's the expression? If you're not growing, you're dying. Keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that. We need to be able to grow. And contribution. We need to be able to make a contribution. A really common form of making a contribution, raising children. I've never done it myself, but I've seen it. I've been the child. But what does it feel like to see your child do something well, something that you've taught your child to do, or to exercise a value or manners, or to treat somebody well and to know, I did that. I made that contribution. What does that do for you? I'm sorry? Pride, validation, fulfillment. Right? Remember I said consistency is at the bottom and everything else builds up to contribution. People want to make a contribution. They're begging to make a contribution. But if these other needs aren't met, they won't be capable. So the workplace where the employee is not making the contribution, doesn't get along, is gruff, what's missing? Why aren't they making the contribution? Because we all want to do it. So, consistency, variety, significance, growth, belonging, belonging, growth, contribution. What does this mean in a lean environment? Right? We've got to bring it back to leadership on board. What does this mean in a lean enterprise? A little story on consistency. Production supervisor I know. She took over a production department for somebody who had left the company to go to work somewhere else. In this particular department, there was a lot of firefighting. We heard a little bit about that this morning. Problem after problem after problem, and it was always go to the supervisor. Here's my problem. Something's in flames. Put the fire out. Nonconformances were going through the roof. There were more nonconformances coming into the process than we could get out of the process. The number just kept going up and up and up. We had things just going wrong seemingly everywhere. We were very good about not delivering any problems to the customer. But internally, we had some issues. And it was like nobody could do anything for themselves. This new supervisor comes in, very reluctantly takes the job, and she kind of lays down the law. Here are the standards. Meet them. That's all there is to it. You know what to do. You know what your process is. Follow your process. Do it right. Do it right the first time. It's really not that hard. She takes the job, and I call human resources, and I say, you should probably keep your calendar open. We're going to have some discussions coming up. People are not going to respond to this very well. They hadn't been treated like this. This supervisor, she was a little demanding. She was abrasive. And how did people respond? Did they like that? They loved it. Absolutely loved it. This is the way she treated people. The standards rose. People performed. At the company Christmas party, for the first time in the 30-year history of the company, people got up in front of the entire company and gave their boss a Christmas gift. Why? She created consistency where it hadn't existed before. People could not function before because they didn't know what was going on from day to day. They didn't know what the rules were. They didn't know how to respond to a problem. They didn't know how to function. They didn't get along with each other. One element, and that changed. Consistency. How is this working for you right now? You're a leader of people. What is consistency like in your organization? Oh, now no one's going to raise their hand. What's it like? Probably not that good, I'm guessing. No one wants to share. It's all over the place, right? So, what was at the bottom of the Shingo Institute model? Culture, right? What does culture relate to? First and foremost, there's consistency. There's a way we do everything. We're very, very consistent. We establish a process, we follow the process. If the process fails, we improve it. So, if we want to change a process, we have a process for that too. So it feels kind of awkward telling that story because that supervisor's in the room. Yeah. All right, so you've got consistency, and your department's just running smoothly. It's a well-oiled machine, quality's good, delivery's good, all the metrics are good, people are happy. And we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. What do we need now? Variety. How do we introduce variety in a lean environment? Cross-training. How else? Find the gaps. Experiments. Improvement. Problem solving. Think about this scenario. Entry-level workers working a production cell, and if you're not in manufacturing, whatever the entry-level value-added position is for your organization. Doing this job over and over and over, pulls the Allen cord, there's a problem. Right? In a very Toyota fashion, all of the engineers and managers will rush to the problem. Right? But in your organization, they say, thanks for telling us there's a problem, we'll fix it. What have you done to that employee? Discounted their worth. You limited what you thought they were capable of, right? What else? Taken away their power to change their problem. We're touching on a couple of things there. We've taken away their opportunity for variety, and let's face it, in a mundane, same thing over and over and over, that was their opportunity for variety. Problem came up. Now, maybe an engineer needs to be involved, but that employee needed to be on that team solving that problem as well. That's variety in a continuous improvement environment. Coming up with an idea. I can improve a process. I can improve something. Here's my idea. Let me try it. Let me experiment. That's variety in a lean environment. Telling them we don't trust them. Interesting. Exactly. We have a problem, but we don't trust you to fix that. So we've taken away variety and significance. Right? If you were important enough, you'd be on the team. Right? Because the reality is, you've heard this before about communication. Only 7% of your communication is through your words. Right? The rest is through gestures, your actions. Right? Step aside. What did I just tell you? You're worthless, right? Do the mindless job. That's what I'm telling you. That's the message received, regardless of the message you intended to send. So we've taken away significance. How do we introduce significance? Yeah. So how do you do that without saying it? Let them figure it out on their own. Provide them resources too, maybe, right? Yeah. Great job finding this problem. Yeah. Find the purpose. Yeah. Recognize the employee. So here's an interesting thing about recognition. And we like to celebrate our successes, right? You solved the problem. Celebration, right? Good job. Why don't we celebrate discovery of the problem? Isn't that success? Right? You found it, you said something. Oh, let's make a big deal out of that. Right? Pulling the andon cord, the light goes off, bells, a whole bit. That is what deserves to be celebrated. For most people in the organization, they might not have the problem-solving skills to address the problems that come up, particularly in manufacturing. When problems come up, often we need engineers to address those issues, right? If it's about a machine, something about a process, a documented process, we need people who specialize in those aspects of it to address it. But none of those people would add any value without the one person who said there's a problem. Especially when there's really a tendency to say, there's a problem. Let me just put it behind. Oh, I've got a defective part. Let me just throw it in the trash. Right? I just don't want to show that anything's wrong or that I did anything. Right? I don't want to take blame for what's happened. All right, so belonging. How do we create belonging in a lean enterprise? Draw them in. Make them feel part. Through teams. So what does that mean? So put everybody on an identified team. Everybody has a sense of belonging. They know where they work. They know what their team is. We make a big deal about that. Right? What was it in the video at NUMI? Teamwork, right? Was it NUMI? They said NUMI is teamwork. Right? That's belonging. While we're on that video, what else did we hear? What else was NUMI? NUMI was family, belonging. NUMI was quality. What's that? Contribution. NUMI was benefits and good pay. Consistency. All right, what is it that people are looking for? Job security. Why? Consistency. They need to know that they're going to be able to feed their family tomorrow. So, think about that. How do we create a sense of belonging at work? Celebration of success. Okay? What else? So we put people on identified teams. Thank you notes. You ever hear Simon Sinek speak? You know who he is? Leaders eat last. Why? Right? What's the title of his book? Start with why. Start with why. The premise is share your beliefs and attract the people who have those same beliefs. I believe in what this company does. We're making airbags to save people's lives. I believe that lean is the right way to go. I believe that will make our jobs more secure. And I'm looking for people who believe what I believe. And if you do, you belong. The company has to have values, principles that we follow. And the 20% who identify with this, they belong. Marine Corps recruiters. How hard do you think it is to get people to join the Marine Corps? Any Marines here? There's not a single Marine in the room? Wow. I saw an interview with Marine Corps recruiters and asking them about, in these days, we're at war, decades of war. It's got to be really hard to recruit people into the Marine Corps. And the response was, of course, very locked up. No, sir, it's not difficult at all. We have a set of values, a set of beliefs. All we need to do is find the people who share those beliefs, who share those values. They join. That's all there is to it. That's belonging. If you've got this fancy catchphrase, vision throughout the company that really isn't all that clear, or it's too long, it's verbose, it was written by marketing. Who shares that belief? What is that belief? If you're trying to be seen as having values, people see through that. They see that you're trying to be seen a certain way. What do you truly believe? How do we create growth? That's probably the easiest thing to do in lean. Growth in a lean environment. How do we do that? Promotion, opportunity, educating your employees. What's that? Shared leadership. They have an input. We challenge people to do things like lead, take over the operation, make your own decisions, right? How does that align with respect? Is that showing respect to people? Huge challenge. I'm going to give you a challenge. I believe in you. right? I'm going to give you something that most people think you can't do. It's unusual for a cell operator to take over responsibility for the value stream from the supplier to the customer. Right? But I respect you. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to show that, right? It's through what I do. You're responsible. I don't know what to do. Okay, well, think about it. What's your first guess? What does the customer expect from you? Right? I'm going to ask you some questions because I believe in your ability to figure this out. I'm going to challenge you to grow. Contribution. How do you make a contribution in a lean enterprise? What is a contribution in a lean enterprise? Define the impact of what they're doing. How do you feel at work? How do you know when you've made a contribution? When the customer sees the value and you know you helped put that there. The company I used to work for was a medical device contract manufacturer. And we made components for the finished product manufacturer. Right? So we sold little bits. Our customer would assemble them, sell that to a doctor. The doctor would implant it in a human being. One of our customers came in and gave a presentation to every employee in the plant. They showed a few videos. And it was a video of people who had pacemakers and defibrillators implanted. And we're talking people who are like 18 years old, 80 years old. And they didn't talk about how wonderful this device was or anything technical about it. They just said, I had this illness. I had to have this defibrillator put in. And one day, well after my surgery, I went out to the pool outside. It was a nice day and my wife was inside. She was just on the phone talking to her sister. I decided to jump in the pool. The moment I jumped off the deck, I felt the defibrillator charge. It shocked my heart before I hit the water. The only reason I'm alive today is because of this device. And this guy's speaking into the camera, and I know you had something to do with that. Right? You make that part every day for that customer, I've got a sense of contribution. Right? And when a customer comes to us and says, this story, that story happens for us every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, one of these devices is getting implanted into a human being. That's contribution, right? Somebody's car crashes and the airbag works. You put the trigger mechanism in, you made a contribution. But not every job is that really profound or that meaningful. And suppose, I don't know, you make something like playing cards. What's contribution in your organization? And I'm kind of sticking on this because this whole list is really upside down, right? It goes the other way. Contribution is on top. Contribution is the point. So how do we do that? In your job, your role, thinking about it right here, right now, how do you make a contribution, you personally? Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was in the 8th grade, I played soccer. I begged my dad for a few years, let me play soccer. And I don't think he wanted to go to the games. But I talked him into it. He let me play soccer. And we were the worst team in the league. We had almost a perfect season, but we screwed it up. We had 1-9 by the end of the season. And my parents didn't come to every game. In this particular game, they weren't there. And we had a coach that loved to yell constantly. And we're, 13 years old? And he's got a bullhorn. Every game, he's got a bullhorn yelling at us on the field, telling us how to approach the ball, what plays, just yelling, yelling, yelling. Meanwhile, the other side of the field, The coach is in a lawn chair, he's sitting around with oranges, right? Kids are playing, everyone's having a good time. The funny thing is, coach that's hanging out doing nothing, his team's winning. The coach that's yelling, his team's not doing so well. We got fed up with that after a while, and close to the end of the season, we said, that's it, no more, we're not playing for you anymore. You have to stop yelling at us. He got a little upset, and he said, okay, fine, I won't say anything. As a matter of fact, don't even come to practice this week. I won't be there. Well, the team showed up. We brought our own soccer balls, we went to the field, we practiced. Saturday morning, we went to the game. He wasn't there. We warmed up on our own. We played. We played hard. We played well. It was the first time we really felt like a team. The team we were playing against, they were better. Every time we started going down the field, they'd push us back over and over. We hardly ever got a shot on goal. They had quite a few shots on goal, but we were motivated and our defense was really stepping up. Running down the field, they get the ball from us, kick it back. One of their fullbacks sends it back upfield and it comes right at me. And I've got a clear shot at the goal, but it's like 40 yards out. And I just wind up and poof. And I just watch that ball go right over the goalie's fingers and into the goal. First time I had scored, and the only game we won. I felt like I made a contribution that day. And thinking back about that, the only reason I had that opportunity was because everybody else came together as a team. We had a strong defense, that we didn't let them score on us, and it was just created that one small opportunity that was really a mistake because, let's face it, I wasn't skilled enough to consistently put the ball in that goal from that distance. But the opportunity arose, right? That was the greatest feeling of contribution. My parents weren't there to see it. It was also a great feeling of disappointment, right? Think about that in the context of work, in the workplace. Somebody does something really well. It's a fluke, doesn't always happen, and it's kind of a make it or break it opportunity, prevented a problem from happening. Nobody saw it. Nobody made a big deal about it. You did the same thing, right? You still made that shot on goal, but do you feel like you really get that feeling of contribution? Because in a moment like that, that contribution really ties to significance, right? I made a contribution, but I don't feel like it. Now it breaks down, right? What am I capable of doing? Consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. So think about these things. Think about your current state in your organization, you personally, with all of these. Kind of imagine other columns here. Current state, future state. How are you performing right now as a leader of people in these 6 categories? What is your current state? Does it feel strange to keep calling you a leader of people? Feel a little awkward? If you went to a cocktail party, hi, I'm a leader of people. I mean, Nelson Mandela, that's leader of people, right? But I think the work that you do is also important. People are looking for exactly the same thing from you that people were looking from Nelson Mandela. Now, certainly not to the same degree, but people are looking for these things. They're begging for this. This is what people need from you. This is what 70% of our respondents said they weren't getting. What is your current state? On helping people meet their human needs, how are you performing right now? Scale of 1 to 10, who's above a 5? 1, 2, how many people in 3? 3 people in the room. What's your future state? Well, with lean, like we kind of approach everything with what's our current state, what's our future state, right? What are we working toward, right? So create in your mind your ideal state with being able to help people meet their basic human needs. You as a leader of people, how do I help people? What am I going to do? You want to be a 10, right? You want people to be fulfilled. What are you going to do? So while you're thinking on that a little bit, there's a company called Menlo Technologies in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They write software. They do all kinds of custom software for all kinds of clients. They make very, very big systems, $1 million software packages. When they hire people, they evaluate these code writers, knowledge workers, on their kindergarten skills. They just assume that you put on your resume that you have a master's degree in, I don't know, information technology, computer science. Okay, we'll believe that. That's not what we're concerned about. What are your kindergarten skills? Yeah. Do you play well with others? Yeah. And your interview is all day long, 8 hours. And that's what you do. You play with people. Prior employer I had, we had the traditional interviews, and then we changed that. We're hiring these people, we're looking for these skills. They come to work and they're not fitting. What are we going to do about that? So we went to Toys R Us, and we bought little snap-together cars for a 4-year-old. That was like 4+ on the instructions. The instructions have no words, they're just 4 pictures. So we bought 25 of those things. We took them all apart, we brought our applicants in, 4 at a time, dumped these parts out on a table, put up a flip chart, gave them stopwatches, and said, here's the deal. We're going to ask you to build an assembly line for these cars. When you figure out how you're going to build it, who's going to have what job assignments, figure out your assembly line. You can use anything in the room, anything besides the other people, besides the people who work here, but you 4 applicants are going to work together, create an assembly line. You're going to measure your success. You're going to measure your speeds with assembling these 25 cars. So build the line, time yourself, 25 cars, stop the stopwatch, record it. Then we want you to reflect on how you performed. We want you to decide how you're going to improve. Then we want you to do it again, and we're going to compare times. Ready? Begin. And we'd walk around with clipboards. And we had all these categories on the clipboard. Like, were people cooperative? Were they leaders? Were they taking over? Were people just sitting idly by? How were they performing? Right? What were we looking for? People who would fit the culture. Okay, so more specifically, what were we looking for, do you think? Teamwork, problem solving, communication, trust. So teamwork, trust, problem solving, inclusion. So all these things that I learned at Damon Products when I was that operations manager. Oh, we have to have this mastery, autonomy, and purpose. We have to have trust. Don't limit what people are capable of. It's about the culture, not the tools. Right? I got it. That was the solution. I was zooming in. I was too narrowly focused. It worked, but I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't understand what it was that I was trying to do. And it wasn't until that I was surfing YouTube, came across Tony Robbins, that, oh, this is the bigger picture. To be generally stated, this is what we're looking for. How do you improve your future state? Menlo Technologies, they look for their kindergarten skills. One of the reasons they do that is they make their code writers sit 2 people to a keyboard. Kind of interesting, huh? Nobody's ever heard of that before. 2 code writers, 1 screen, 1 keyboard. They've gotten rid of their quality control. Nobody goes back into their code and reads it. Nobody checks it. Every time they give a tour, they walk around and they walk by a desk. The CEO of the company, Richard Sheridan, the author of Joy, Inc., points to this phone and he says, you noticed you've been here for 3 hours. This phone never rang. This is the customer complaint line. And anybody who hears that phone ring will jump on it and answer it. Nobody answers that phone. Why? What is it about their culture that keeps that customer complaint phone from ringing? Focus on value to the customer. You're a leader of people. What is your role? What is your role as a leader of people? My job as a leader is to help people be successful. Right? And how do I do that? I help people do what? I help them be successful by helping them. I help them meet their basic human needs. That's how I help people be successful. That's how Menlo Technology keeps that phone from ringing. That's how Damon Products has such high quality and such low turnover. This employer, Damon Products, we shot a Gimbal Live episode there. We interviewed some of their employees. Ron Pereira, if you've ever seen our videos, he's the guy on screen. He interviewed the newest employee and said, hey man, so what's it really like? I'm hearing all these great stories, but what's it really like here? You just came from somewhere else. And this guy says, this is like a place I've never worked before. And Ron says, oh wow. So how did it feel to come to work here? And he said, I felt needed. My first day, I felt needed. Basic human needs, right? Stellar performer. The reality, people aren't any different. We've seen movies about like sports teams performing really, really poorly. New coach comes in, players are the same. They go from zero to hero, right? And those are true stories. That stuff really happens. Why? The coach helped them meet their basic needs, gave them structure, gave them a sense of consistency, gave them some variety, made them feel important, gave them a place where they belonged, helped them grow through personal challenges, and allowed them to make a contribution to the team. So I have a bit of a challenge for you. And it's really kind of an introspection. I mean, this whole hour has been, you probably thought that you're going to come up here and think about something else, think about me, look at me, and I'm asking you to look at you. When you go to work Monday morning, because we're all going to bail out of here and we're not going to give Lean another thought until we get to work on Monday. Right? What are you going to do Monday morning? What's your first thing? What's the first thing you do when you get to work? Coffee? Good. Helping people feel like they belong. What do you do? What do you normally do first thing every day at work? We have habits. We all do it. We go to work. We do exactly the same thing every day, day in and day out. What is it? What is it for you? Email. Calendar. What else? Voice messages. So let me categorize that a little bit differently. Manage, 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 manage. Lead. See the difference? Right? Processes are managed, projects are managed, things are managed, people are led. People are begging you to be the leader. They're desperate for it. You might be afraid to do it, might be intimidated by that responsibility. People believe in you and they want you to do it. So Monday morning, your current state, we already agreed, current state, we're below a 5 on our scale of 1 to 10 with helping people meet their needs. Right? Does anybody here not want to be 10? Everybody wants to be better. What are we going to do Monday morning to help people meet their basic human needs? How are you going to do that? Going to engage people. What else? What are you going to do? I'm getting close to putting people on the spot. Be prepared? Be prepared for what? Okay? Yeah? Challenge people. And challenging people will do what on here? Variety, significance, growth. It's going to end up in contribution. What else are we going to do? You're going to get all 35 in the room and tell me, hey, you're running this plant from now on, right? It worked for me.
Morning market. What happened while I was done?
Yeah.
The problem of the day.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do about it? Yeah, what do we do about it? Where are we at? What do we do?
Yeah. So I'm getting the sense that identifying yourself as a leader of people is kind of uncomfortable. Yeah.
My work is cut out for me this weekend. So I'm going to dissect all those 6 needs and find out how I'm going to approach each of my 120 employees
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, how I'm going to be consistent with all of them, how I'm going to provide variety for each one of them, how I'm going to make them feel they're significant, and just go through the list. So
Yeah.
that's my job this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to dissect that and come up with a plan. Then I can start implementing that plan.
Yeah? I have till 2:30, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I thought Vahid was going to finish, and I thought I was going to be just in
Okay.
time, and he just kept on going a little bit.
So I'm going to ask you to, everybody stand up for a minute. Stand up. We've been sitting for a long time. It's after lunch. Deep breath. Let it out. And repeat after me as loudly as you can. And I hear the groaning already. I am a leader of people.
I am a leader of people.
Okay, let's try it again, because that's just not all that convincing. I am a leader of people.
I am a leader of people.
Again. Nice job, yeah. I am a leader of people.
I am a leader of people.
Does that make you feel weird? Yeah. No? One person says no. One person acknowledges it. That's what you are. What is the leader's role?
Help others succeed.
Help people be successful. What is a leader's role?
Help others be successful.
What is a leader's role?
Help people be successful.
Thanks very much. Relax. Have a seat. So, you're a leader of people. Your job is to help people be successful. You've acknowledged that you're below 5 on your own scale. What are you going to do? What is your ideal state, and what will you do to bridge that gap? So some people in the room can attest, I'm really good about uncomfortable silences. Yeah, I see Michelle's head is nodding, like, yeah, I'll ask a question, stay quiet until you squirm and squirm and squirm, and then answer it. But does anybody have an example? What are you going to do? Right? You're one of the employees in my plant. You can make your own decisions. You can make your own choices. Every day, you choose what you're going to do. You choose to come to work. You choose to do your job. You choose to be successful. You choose to be below a 5. You want to be a 10. You don't know how to get there, right? It's kind of fuzzy. What are you going to do? Ask who what?
Ask them what they need to be successful.
Ask them what they need to be successful. Rick Anglin, CEO of Fireblast, the guy I talked to this week. He went out to his plant and said, it's all my fault. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and I need you to tell me. What do I need to do to be a better leader? What else are you going to do? Highly recommend it. Okay, excellent. How do you do that? Uh-huh.
So, oh, hello. Where's you come from? I think everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me without this mic? A little timid. Oh, goodness. So at Radiology Associates, we have a countermeasure board. So before a lot of firefighting was being done, especially by myself and other management. And so every time there's a problem now, if it's truly not on fire, I have them write it on the countermeasure board, and I'm not the one that's correcting the problem. They're the one correcting the issues. And if they do not know how, they find someone else. They phone a friend, and then someone else will help them. So.
Excellent, thank you. What is it you're going to help people do? What are the basic needs you're going to help people meet? So here's an interesting exercise with everybody you deal with. Think about this. First, you have to memorize the list. And think about which is the most important to the person you're dealing with. Right? NUME. NUME is, what did we hear? NUME is teamwork. What did that person need more than anything? Needed a sense of belonging. NUME is what? Benefits. That sounds like a young parent to me. Like, I've got a family to take care of. I need to know I can do it. Right? So, everybody have this list memorized? You ready to memorize it? I'm going to help you. Okay? First, when I say it, you say it back. Right? Variety, no, consistency. Consistency. The second is variety. Consistency. Say it like you mean it. Variety. Consistency, variety. Consistency, variety, significance. Consistency, variety, significance, belonging. Consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth. Consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. Again, consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. Consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. You're going to go from less than a 5 to a 10. How are you going to bridge that gap? And I know I keep asking the same question over and over and over because this is what it takes to think through these things. It's uncomfortable, but this is what's necessary to provide people what it is they're begging for.
Can you look in the mirror? Ask the question of yourself.
Ah.
Is there value in that, in the self? Is there value in the self-reflection?
Absolutely, yeah. So are you asking me to
Not
answer that, or would you like to
personally.
elaborate?
Well, we've been talking about service to others, and that's important.
Absolutely.
But we have to take care of ourselves as well
Yeah.
in order to be able to be of service. And so is it different? How do we take care of ourselves with regard to those domains?
Thank you. I think that's an excellent topic for us to discuss. Ever been on an airplane? Yeah? The briefing is, in the event of pressure loss, an oxygen mask will fall from the ceiling. Place yours on first before helping others. Why? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be around to help others. Right. When I was about 7 years old, my dad would count the number of times I would ask him why. And I don't know what the number was, but there was a number, and then I had to stop talking for the rest of the day. But why? right? Why do we take care of ourselves before others? Because it's really uncommon for that to happen, don't you think? So many people want to give without taking care of themselves, to the point that they're exhausted, right? Not able to manage their own tasks, but they're always thinking about others, and then they're letting themselves go. Why do we want to take care of ourselves before others? What does that really mean? So in lean terms, Hansai, reflection, right? And John Miller tells me that it's kind of reflection mixed in with repentance, right? Take a hard look at yourself. Yeah. And if there are things about yourself that aren't meeting your own standards, you've got to do something about it, right? It might be hard, it might be painful, but look in the mirror. So, are you a leader of people? Can you feel the enthusiasm? So, while we're making light of this, think of all the people in your lives. Your family, your friends, the people you work with, the people you work for, the people who report to you. That is exactly what they see in you. That level of enthusiasm as a leader, that confidence as a leader, that's what they believe in you. That was our one question survey. That's why 70% of the people said leadership, right? Because they don't see it. To me, my personal feeling about it is it's almost like a little hint of arrogance to be a leader. It takes a great deal of confidence to do it, especially when you screw it up, right? So you're a leader of people. What is your role? Okay, I know it's Friday. We have three things. What is your role? Help people be successful. All right? I am a leader of people.
I am a leader of people.
My job is to help people be successful.
My job is to help people be successful.
6 basic human needs that I will help everybody in my life meet are consistency, variety, significance, belonging, growth, and contribution. Think about that confidence that you had when I asked, are you a leader of people? And it was, be honest, right? We were all here, we all experienced it. Underwhelming, right? You don't believe in yourselves as leaders at this moment. Not so much that you're willing to shout out, yes, I'm a leader of people, unless I tell you to, right? Because it's uncomfortable. It feels a little bit arrogant. It feels a little strange. My job, my title is manager. That's what I do. That's where I'm comfortable. But other people will expect you to be leaders. If the idea of being a leader of people makes you feel uncomfortable, then you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Thank you.